Hey everyone, welcome back to the Critic-Verse. Today we're going to be continuing our recap and review of Warrior Season 3 with Season 3 Episode 8, You Know When You're Losing a Fight. Now, before we get to the review, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to keep updated on all things Critic-Verse and to help me get to 500 subscribers. Now, on to the rest of the video. Once again, the episode is titled, You Know When You're Losing a Fight. This line is said by Father Jun to young Jun while he is experiencing a brief moment of clarity since he has been in and out of episodes since he got shot in episode 6. Young Jun is still deluded into thinking Father Jun will get better, but Father Jun knows better. And by the end of the episode, young Jun will too. Ironically, in this episode, a lot of people don't actually know when they lost the fight. Chief Atwood doesn't realize he's lost the police station when he challenges Bill to a fight. Ming Yu doesn't realize he's lost his life when he confronts Atoy by herself. The one character to truly figure out that they've lost the fight is the tragic Li Young, whose love for Mai Ling causes him to do something awful and realize the elders may have been right. Now the episode starts with Mai Ling's wedding to Li Young, and she is dripped out. The traditional aspect of the wedding seems to test the husband's mettle and resolve for his wife. Chow and Atoy discuss the future of the two Tongs. It seems Atoy is more optimistic, but Chow seems to see otherwise. Happening simultaneously, Buckley is being sworn in as the newly elected mayor, and he makes a speech about ridding San Francisco of the Chinese while the wedding goes on with a tense but loving atmosphere. Leary is eager to put Buckley to work getting the Donahue boys out, but Douglas suggests not wasting his political capital on such a small matter and encourages Leary to find another way to get them out. At the reception, all of our Chinatown main characters are shown to be enjoying themselves, while the Secret Service surveys the party. But Lee actually theorizes something more may be happening since he knows these two Tongs don't socialize. Assam brings up the new printers that Young Jun brought in, but Young Jun reassures this is just to cover their asses because everything relies on Yan Mi. Young Jun recommends to Assam not to get attached. Chow shows up speaking lovely platitudes about love, referencing Mai Ling, but it also pertains to Assam's feelings for Yan Mi. And Chow says just because love is rare doesn't mean it isn't real. Spotting Lee surveying the area, but says love costs more. Real love, at least. The elders pulled Li Young aside to speak to him, and they hand him a red envelope and advise him to help them curb Mai Ling's reckless ambitions, but he clings to his support of Mai Ling. Kong Pak tries to reason with Li Young and is spitting some hard facts. He even figures out how Long Zii died. But Li Young is stubborn and in love, and that is one dangerous combination. Chow talks with Li, who inquires why the Hop Wei and Long Zii are celebrating together, and while Chow tries to divert his thinking and even throws his hypocrisy back in his face. But Lee is adamant, but unfortunately, Lee also notices the printer's daughter at the party. Assam goes to Yan Mi and the two publicly embrace, and as the camera pans around them, Atoy takes notice, and Assam takes notice of her as well, but goes back for another kiss, and when he looks back, she's gone. Ming Yu took Atoy into the alley and says he's taking his girls back with interest, and Atoy bites his nose off. And turns out her fans has blades in them. Very Mortal Kombat of her. and she dices one of his guys and then finally dices Mingyu. Assam comes out after the fact, and Atoy says she hates weddings and leaves. Youngjun and Hong are returning home, Hong telling Youngjun about Marcel to find Father Jun sitting outside in his nightshirt, but he seems to be in his right mind. He then goes on about his fear of slipping into another episode, and then a memory about Youngjun's mother. Although Youngjun thinks he's going to be okay, Father Jun says the episode title, indicating that he won't be. Father Jun asks where he's coming from when he says Mai Ling's wedding. Father Jun says she finally decided, even notes that Li Young is a follower, but Mai Ling and Assam aren't. He notes Assam may have better intentions, but he's not someone that likes to be led. When Youngjun sticks up for him, Father Jun throws it back to Youngjun overthrowing him, which Assam also manipulated in Season 2. Mai Ling and Li Young consummate their marriage, and in an almost Godfather-like scene, while they are having sex, one by one, all of the elders that were against Mai Ling are being eliminated, even Kong Pak. Mai Ling and Li Young are enjoying their morning when Kong Pak comes in, raving about Mai Ling killing the elders, even sharing the scars of his own attack. He tells Li Young to get out of the way, but he stands by his wife like a lovesick fool. The two then enter fighting stances, Kong Pak with a weapon in hand and Li Young just with his fists. Kong Pak ends up closer to Mai Ling, so Li Young has to hop over the pond to protect her, even getting sliced in the process, but he remains steadfast in her defense. As the fight gets more bloodier, Li Young gets some consecutive blows that put Kong Pak on the edge of his life. While Li Young begs him to stop, Kong Pak pushes him aside and throws his blade, just missing her. And this pushes Li Young to finish the fight, killing his oldest friend. But as he tries to mourn, Mai Ling tries to reason why it needed to happen, and he tells her to leave. At the Banshee, the father of the Donahue boys is angry at Leary because the boys have a higher charge now than before Leary went there. And he even brings up Leary's own boys, to which it angers Leary. Bill, overhearing this, Leary gets angry at him that he quit being a cop right now. But this motivates Bill to bring Leary and go get those boys. At the station, Bill is trying to convince his remaining men to let the Donahue boys go, that Atwood is just taking his time removing them one by one. They then go to get the boys, but turns out Atwood was right behind them, at which he gives the order to lock Bill up. His men fake incompetence. Then Atwood plays at Bill's gambling problem and gives them a wager. If Bill can knock him down, the boys go free. And if Bill loses, he and Leary also sit in a cell. Atwood sucker punches Bill, and it shortly turns into a cage match. The fight is somewhat even, but Atwood is getting the best of Bill, with Leary throwing in his 2 cents. Bill is losing the fight, and Atwood starts to berate Bill. And Bill hits Atwood with an uppercut, turning the tide of the fight in his favor, and lifts Atwood for the final blow, getting them out. And I've sort of got mixed feelings about this fight, but later on that. And after having been gone for the back half of the episode, Assam is then shown making out with Yan Mi. He warns her of Youngjun's plan to close ranks and advises her to take that train after all. And unfortunately, Lee watches on. Bill comes home covered in bruises, telling his wife what happened, and she then outdrinks him. Chow and Li Young prepare Kong Pak's body to send back to China. Li Young asks for Chow's advice and admits that Kong Pak was right. But Chow says that Li Young can still be there to stand in the way of Mai Ling's ambition. And Li Young walks home in the rain as a beaten man, even though he won the fight. Young Jun is awoken by Father Jun in one of his episodes with a knife to his throat, and while he tries to reach him, he does slice him. Thankfully, it was non-fatal, but he does manage to wake him up, to his dismay seeing what he's done. The episode ends with Douglas returning to his home, and as he retires to his study, he doesn't notice, but one of his maids has been replaced by Lai. End of. Wow, what a hell of an episode. But it definitely gives off a divisive feeling for some of the events in the episode. For one, though Assam is our main character or protagonist, he doesn't do much in this episode, appearing mostly with glances in the first half and one scene in the back half of the episode. But it does show that we can have a strong episode without our main character. And it's also funny that this episode is sort of like the episode of fights, but the usual suspects aren't involved in any of them. Atoy's fight is actually the last time she's in the episode, in fact. Once she walks off, it's the last time we see her. Li Young and Kong Pak's fight is the most divisive fight since we know Mai Ling won't die and neither will Li Young, but it was still sad to see Kong Pak go. As just like with Happy Jack, I was hoping the character would last longer on the show. Bill's fight with Atwood was extremely divisive because on one hand, I like Bill, at least more compared to Atwood, but I hate the immediate goals he's fighting for. I didn't want the Donahue boys freed, but I definitely didn't want Atwood to win, but wanted Bill to beat his ass. Funny thing is, the episode also did a reverse shot of the previous episode, where when Li Young was bringing Father Jun home, they appear out of the shadows. It's Hong and Young Jun coming out of the fog, returning to the Hop Wei HQ. One thing I didn't like, Father Jun sowing the final seeds of doubt into Young Jun about Assam. The seeds may have already been there, he just helps water them. But definitely, the MVP scene of the episode was Mai Ling's Godfather scene, with while she and Li Young are making love as a married couple, all of her enemies in the Long Zii are being eliminated, leaving no one to stop her. At least that's what she thinks. Let me know your thoughts about this episode. Thanks for joining me. See you guys next time in the Critic-Verse.